G'day, welcome to Jag Tales. My name is Paul, and this video I want to tell you about my 1987 TWR modified XJS. I found this car for sale on eBay. It had been imported into Australia in 2010 by Mr. Rogers in Hobart, Tasmania. I made a lot of inquiries with Mr. Rogers, and he sent me all the supporting photographs of all the supporting documents he had. And I was convinced that this car had been purchased new in England and sent to the Kidlington factory and fitted with a wide selection of the options that Tom Walkinshaw Racing was offering at the time. Mr. Rogers had huge plans for this car, and he had bought a lot of modified parts from America, including a Cool Cat radiator, Cool Cat fans, geared starter motors, air conditioning compressors, and the list was quite extensive. He fitted the American headlight system to it, but the original headlights and all the parts that he'd taken off were sold with the car. I was aware that English cars had a lot of rust. The photos of the cars looked good, the trim was good. It only had like 80,000 miles on the clock. He had all the paperwork from when the car was purchased new, with all the documentations he'd received from TWR Motorsports. And I knew the only reason he would be selling the car was if he'd found rust in it that was too expensive for him to repair. Over the years, I'd become very proficient at restoring cars and repairing the rust. I bought the car sight unseen and made the decision that this car was worthy of a restoration. I'll just give you a quick look at some of the documents I received. The first one was the import approval. The second document was a letter that Mr. Blackburn, the original purchaser, received from Jag Sports Sales. The letter was signed by Mr. Howard Joshua on behalf of TWR Jag Sports Sales. Accompanying the letter was a selection of promotional material which was supplied by Jag Sports, and I found them quite interesting. I believe the photo Tom Walkinshaw TWR 42 was Tom Walkinshaw's private car. And this car was used to test all the modified parts that Tom Walkinshaw went on to sell, and it was also used as a press release car as well. The brochure explains how their racing experience led to the development of the parts, and it also includes a brief description of the various components that they sell. It also shows a lesser known feature of TWR in that they made kits for XJ6s. Along with two black and white photographs of an XJ40 fitted with TWR kits, which was photographed on the lawn at Wappenbury Hall, which is the home of Sir William Lyons. TWR 42 was featured in a Fastlane article in June 1983, and it road tested the vehicle, and it praises the performance of the TWR modified XJS. XJS's new in 1987 cost about £35,000. So when you add that to the price of the all the components that was fitted to this car, it became a very expensive car. I'll just show you the price list and the specifications of the modifications that were available from Tom Walkinshaw Racing, and I'll start with the low drag body kit and tell you about the various modifications that were fitted to this car. The low drag body kit is quite spectacular, and it changes the whole appearance of the XJSs. The kits sold by TWR had the TWR logo moulded into the front and rear bumper bars. So the next option was the Italian Speedline wheels. These were called the low drag alloy wheels for some reason. They got a nickname called the bottle top wheels. Originally they were finished with a brilliant diamond turned finish and sprayed with a clear. After 30 years the clear was all peeled off. They'd lost their brilliance and they couldn't refurbish them back to new, so they had to be refinished just in 2-pack. The hubcaps were also fitted with the TWR logo, which made them quite rare. The front and rear wheels, while they were the same width, had different offsets and were not interchangeable. Also fitted to the car was the tyre inflation chart, and that's on the driver's side B pillar.
The TWR suspension kit was also fitted to the car, although the Bilstein shocks and the modified bushes have long since been replaced, but the ride height is noticeably different between the standard car and the Walkinshaw modified car.
The car came fitted with the AP racing brakes, which was the ventilated discs, the aluminium calipers and the ceramic pistons. When I got the car, they were in a pretty sad state. I found that AP Racing was now owned by Brembo. Brembo couldn't supply pads. I could get the caliper seals, but TWR had also fitted dust boots on the calipers, and Brembo had no idea and no listening of what I was talking about. So I made the decision that I had to revert back to the standard Jaguar brakes, which is not a bad thing. It's a car's only going to be used for club events anyway.
Also fitted was the engine efficiency kit. This consisted of larger trumpets on the air intake, larger bore exhaust, and the dual outlets on the rear mufflers. Glued to the inlet manifold was the TWR engine settings to achieve the O2 sensors for the MOT tests. Finally, the car was fitted with the TWR leather-bound steering wheel. This really enhanced the interior of the car and makes it look terrific. The interior of the car was in good condition, and I was fortunate that somebody had taken the time to inject cavity wax into the doors and some of the other body panels, which made them in really good condition. Unfortunately, there was the sill panels were exposed to the salt and the corrosion, and now we can cover the not so good parts. When I removed the side skirts, I'd found that the fiberglass mouldings had actually trapped a lot of muck and mud in the front and rear of the sill panel, and this had accelerated the rusting of the sill, and the corrosion was quite extensive, to the point that the jacking brackets on the front of the car on both sides were completely missing. To repair this sort of rust is quite time consuming, and I found the best way to do that is to replicate the original panel, cut away the rusty piece and butt weld on your replacement patch panel. What you can see here is the repairs to the leading edge of the floor panel and the lower edge of the footrest panel. The holes have been punched in there ready to spot weld through for the panels that go underneath. What you can see here is the repairs to the triangular support bracket, which is above the jacking bracket and carries the weight of the car when you lift it up. That's spot welded between the inner mudguard and the floor support panel. What we have here is the beginning of the fabrication of the jacking support bracket. The finished patch repair panel is fitted to the car, MIG welded in, welds are ground off, and you would never tell that it had been replaced. Finally, construct a new sill panel and weld it into place, and repeat the process on the driver's side of the car. The rear of the sill panels were also quite badly affected by rust. While there was a lot of good solid metal around there was intense corrosion in isolated pockets, and this shows you the extent that I had to go to expose those corroded inner panels so that they could be repaired before you had made the patch panels to close them over again. It was a similar story on both sides. This time you can see that the brace that I tack welded onto the sill panel to hold it in shape while I carried out the necessary repairs to the ends and the bottom of the sill panel. While replacing the bottom of the sill panels was quite a straightforward job, forming the drains to replicate the original ones in the XJS sill panel was quite difficult, and finally we were able to attack the back mudguards. The back mudguards were rusty on both sides. It was quite a straightforward job to cut away the rusted panel, replace the inner mudguard, form the new panel to go on the outside of it, and we even put the drains in to make the drain from the gutter around the boot lid. What I have here is the front lower quarter panel. These should never have rusted out, but the water was trapped in behind the fiberglass spoiler, and this shows you the patch repair panel before and after, and when the repair was completed. I also had to replace the bottom of both front mudguards, made up a complete new section, MIG spot welded it on, and once it was finished you'd never know it had been done. Finally it was time to touch up the paintwork. I had to respray the front bonnet and the front mudguards. All the other repairs were covered up by the body skirt kit, even though I did paint all the sections to the original body colour. I was very pleased with the end result. It gave me a lot of satisfaction, and since the car has been complete, we've used it in quite a few club events, and I'll just go through some of those with you now. Car club display days are always a feature, and it's a great day to show off your car, and you get to talk to a lot of people. This is the view from the balcony at the Sydney Motorsport Park, showing some of the Jags that are on display at the display day. Here we are participating in a demonstration run around Sydney Motorsport Park at Eastern Creek. I've also used the car in track day events, and I'll just include one of those runs to show you as well.
Time for Bruce Grant was 1:03.10. Have 4 points on the hill at the moment.
You're getting some good shots.
In April 2025, we participated in the Jaguar National Rally. This event was held at Bathurst. It attracted over 300 cars from all over Australia. There's a few videos on YouTube you can watch and see these cars. It was a celebration of the 50th anniversary of the XJS and the XJC. So if you haven't seen some of the other videos, they're well worth having a watch. Over the years, my wife and I have entered several of the mountain rallies run by the Jaguar Drivers Club of Australia. These rallies use the back B roads of New South Wales, and you have a series of questions to answer on the way. You also visit points of interest, and then at the end of the day you end up at a restaurant to discuss your events of the day with other members of the club. Competing in these rallies reminds me of the Fast Lane article, where the XJS just swallows up the miles with consummate ease. In 1988, TWR entered into an agreement with Jaguar, and they created a factory and they built the XJRS. These were marketed as Jag Sports, and they were sold through the dealer network in the UK. The question is, how many cars did TWR modify at their Kidlington factory? If anybody knows the answer to this, please leave a comment for me, and thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe.